Milk Minute!
Good afternoon, grade 9 learners. So our lesson for today is about describing proportion. And we know that proportion is a statement of equality between two ratios. Therefore, if ratios do not exist, proportion will not also exist. Therefore, they should go together. The ratio and proportion are the two important concepts, and it is the foundation to understand the various concepts in mathematics as well as in science. In our daily life, we use the concept of ratio and proportion, such as in business, or for example, we go to shopping. The money we have should be proportional to the expenses that we are going to make. It can also be used in cooking dishes. The ingredients we have should also be proportional to the food we cook. We can also use ratio and proportion in our travel, the time it takes and the distance that is covered by that travel. So therefore, ratio and proportion are not just numbers. They are very important in our daily life. So I think this is a good reason enough for you to listen to our discussion. Thank you and good day, everyone.
You are listening to SDO Isabela Radio-Based Instruction.
Learning never stops in Math Eskwela, your school on air.
Your partner in achieving fun learning experiences. Let's listen, enjoy, and have fun in learning mathematics. Stay tuned.
Good day, grade 9 learners. How are you today? I hope and pray that you and your whole family are safe and free from any sickness. I know that time is quite hard on your part, especially in terms of learning. But it's good that you still have this chance to learn through your self-learning modules or your learning activity sheets, and we are doing our best to bring you learning, and we hope you devote and engage yourself and your time in listening to Radyo Eskwela. I know that you do want to learn as much as we want to teach, so may I request to ready yourself and participate through this episode. So now, I want you seated comfortably with your last paper and pen near you, so that learning will be easy and possible. Find a place where you are far from any distractions and disturbances. And I hope you are all ready now. May I hear some resounding applause if you are? So today, we shall be dealing with describing a proportion. Any idea about proportion? Is it your first time to hear the word proportion? If I may use this word in a sentence, say, his success is in proportion to his effort, what comes in your mind? That's right. Success and effort are two things that should go together. So there is equality between them. In mathematics, we use the word proportion to compare two ratios. So before we go deeper, we need to understand the word ratio. It is an indicated quotient of two mathematical expressions or the relationship in quantity, amount, or size between two or more things. For example, the ratio of students to teachers in the school is 9:1. 9:1 is an example of ratio. Ratio can also be written in fraction form like 1/2, or 2/5, or 3/7. What are other examples of ratio? Yes, it can be 1/4, 2/3, or 2/5. These are all examples of ratio. Now, what about proportion? Any wild guess? It is a statement of equality between two ratios, meaning proportion only exists when there are two or more ratios. Do you know the fundamental law of proportion?
Yeah!
The fundamental law of proportion states that the product of the means equals the product of the extremes. Meaning, if two ratios are equal, then they form proportion, or these ratios are proportional to each other. How do we write proportion? Do you have any idea? Proportion can be written in two ways. One is as two equal fractions like A over B equals C over D. And another is using a column, A is to B equals C is to D. The inner terms B and C are called the means, and the outer are called the extremes. Our goal for this lesson is to describe a proportion. How can we say that two ratios are proportion? Let us take this example. 4:2 equals 6:3. In this expression, what are the means? Very good. The means are 2 and 6. How about the extremes? Correct. The extremes are 4 and 3. Now going back to my question earlier, how can we say if these two ratios are proportion? Simply, we just multiply the means and we multiply the extremes. If their product are equal, then the two ratios form a proportion. Let us evaluate if 4:2 equals 6:3 shows proportion. I have said earlier, the fundamental law of proportion is that the product of the means equals the product of the extremes. We identified already the means and the extremes. So what are the means again? Correct. The means are 2 and 6. So what is the product of 2 and 6? Very good. The product is 12. How about the extremes? Will you identify the extremes? That's right. The extremes are 4 and 3. And what is their product? Exactly. Their product is also 12. So are the given ratios proportion or not? Absolutely. They form a proportion. We can also write two ratios in fraction form. We use the same ratios for you not to be confused. 4:2 equals 6:3. They can also be written as 4/2 equals 6/3. If the given is written this way, how do we identify if they are proportion or not? Do you have any idea? If a pair of ratios are written in a fraction form, all you have to do to check if they are proportion or not is to cross multiply. Let's try this one. 4/2 equals 6/3. Multiply 4 and 3. What is the answer? Correct. It is 12. How about 6 times 2? Definitely. It's also 12. So are the two ratios proportion?
Yeah!
Exactly. The two ratios are proportion because they are equal. Can you follow, grade 9 learners?
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's nice. Now, let us have another example. Determine if 2:5 equals 3:8. Remember the fundamental law of proportion. What is it again? That's great. If the product of the means equals the product of the extremes, then the ratios are proportion. So, let us get back to the pair of ratios given. 2:5 equals 3:8. What are the means? Very good. The means are 5 and 3. How about the extremes? That's right. The extremes are 2 and 8. So, will you multiply them? Are their product equal? Yes. Obviously, they are not because 5 times 3 is 15 while 2 times 8 is 16. So, do they form proportion?
No.
Definitely not because 15 and 16 are not equal. Therefore, 2:5 equals 3:8 is a false statement. Hence, the two ratios do not form a proportion. Is that clear, learners?
Yeah!
If that's the case, then I guess you are ready to do an activity. Let's call this activity Describe Me. Turn your last on page 45. The instruction is to identify which of the following pairs of ratios describe proportion. If the ratios are proportion, write the word strong. If not, write weak. Write your answers on the space provided before each item. For item number 1, I'll guide you and then the rest, you do it on your own because you are only given 20 seconds to answer each item. But I want you to really solve to find out if the given are proportion or not. I discourage everyone to just guess answers. So I hope you will all be honest in answering. Can I count on you on this matter, learners?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's start. For number 1, the given pairs of ratios are 6/7 equals 7/8. In our discussion earlier, what shall we do if the given is written in a fraction form? That's right, we do cross multiplication. So what is the product of 6 and 8? Very good. 6 times 8 is 48. How about 7 times 7? Excellent. The product of 7 and 7 is 49. So is 48 and 49 equal?
No.
Of course not. So what are we going to write? Is it strong or weak? Yes, obviously the answer should be weak since the product after cross multiplying is not equal. Can you follow grade 9?
Yeah!
Now, it's your turn. You're given 20 seconds to answer number 2. 8/9 equals 16/18. Remember, you have to solve before writing strong or weak. Timer starts now. Time's up. Now let us see who got it correctly. What is 8 times 18? 9 times 16? Absolutely. 8 times 18 is 144 and 9 times 16 is also 144. They are equal, so the answer is strong. Now we proceed to number 3. 6/9 equals 18/27. You're given 20 seconds to answer. Time starts now. Okay, ballpens up. What is the answer? You got it right. The answer is strong because 6 times 27 is 162 and 18 times 9 is also 162. Therefore, strong is the correct answer. How about number 4? The given is 7/6 equals 42/36. 20 seconds starts now. So, is it strong or weak? Amazing! It is also strong because the product of the two ratios are both 252. How about number 5? 7/6 equals 42/36. You are given 20 seconds again. What is your answer? Very good. The answer is weak because 21 times 24 is 504, while 22 times 12 is 264. Now try to answer number 6. 13:9 equals 7:6. If a pair of ratio is written in this form, you need to multiply means and extremes. If the answer is equal, it means they are proportion. So just the same, you write strong if the ratios are proportion and weak if they are not. So for number 6 to 10, I'll give you 1 minute and 30 seconds to finish. Timer starts now.
proportion sa daan ng pagkatuto ay walang maiiwan. Kaya halina sa Radyo Eskwela. Pagkat kayo'y kinabukasan, ang pag-asa ng ating bayan, isa pusong pagkatuto nang matupad ang pangarap mo. Pagkat sa gitna ng pandemya, tayo pa rin ay magkaisa.
Time's up. Now let us check your answers. Remember, be honest in checking, okay? The lesson is very easy, so I believe you were able to finish answering accurately. So what is the answer in number 6? 13:9 equals 7:6. Is it strong or weak? Correct. The answer is weak, because the product of the extremes is 78, while the product of the means is 63. How about number 7? 22:11 equals 4:2. What is your answer? Very good. You really paid attention to our discussion. The correct answer is strong. Obviously, because 22 times 2 is 44 and 11 times 4 is also 44. We're down to number 8. 14:7 and 12:6. What is your answer? Exactly. It is also strong because the product of the means is 84, like the product of the extremes. Now we go for number 9. 6:3 equals 3:4. May I know your answer? Wow, that's right. The answer is weak because the two pair of ratios are not proportion. And for our last item, number 10, 11:8 equals 13:4. What is your answer? Excellent. The answer is weak. 11 times 14 is 154, while 8 times 14 is only 104. And they are not equal, so it's weak. So, are we done with our first activity?
Yeah!
Who got perfect? I'm sure a lot of you got a perfect score, so you deserve a resounding applause. But to those who got 5 and below, that's okay. So you better cheer up and be ready with our next activity. Are you now ready?
Yes, sir.
That's great. So with that, let us read the directions. Identify the means and extremes of the following pairs of ratios. Then describe their product, whether they are proportion or not. Then, put a check mark if the ratios are proportion and cross mark if they are not. There are columns on the table for you to write your answer. I'll explain the 3 examples and then answer items number 1 to 10. Just multiply the means, then write it on the first column. Multiply the extremes, then write on the second column. Then in third column, write the description. Write a check mark if it is proportion and cross mark if it is not. Okay?
Yeah!
Example number 1 is 8:6 equals 4:3. What is the product of the mean? Exactly. So you write 24 on the first column. What about the product of the extremes? Correct. Write 24 on the second column. Then put a check mark on the third because the product of the means and extremes are both 24. Let us take another example. 3:8 equals 6:5. What is the product of the means? You're right. It's 48. What is the product of the extremes? Correct. It's 15. So obviously, they don't form a proportion, so you put a cross mark. Can you follow, my dear learners?
Yes, sir.
And for our last example, W:X equals Y:Z. Will you try to do it on your own?
Yeah!
What are you going to write on the first column? Correct. We write XY. How about on the second column? Exactly. We write WZ. Are we going to put a check mark or a cross mark? Definitely. We write a cross mark because the means and the extremes are not equal. So I guess our examples are enough for you to answer the activity on your own. Are you confident enough to answer all the items correctly?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's the spirit. Now, I'm giving you 5 minutes to finish it while the theme song of Radyo Eskwela is being played. Okay?
Tayo ay mag-aral sa loob ng ating tahanan. Sa radyo ay mag-tune lang, tiyak ika'y may matututunan. Pagkat sa gitna ng pandemya, tayo pa rin ay magkaisa upang masigurong bawat bata ay pumapasa. Halina't matuto gamit ang ating radyo, pakinggan at unawain, aralin na ituturo. Patuloy ang edukasyon para sa ating henerasyon. Sa daan ng pagkatuto ay walang maiiwan. Kaya halina sa Radyo Eskwela. Pagkat kayo'y kinabukasan, ang pag-asa ng ating bayan, isa pusong pagkatuto ng matupad ang pangarap mo. Pagkat sa gitna ng pandemya, tayo pa rin ay magkaisa upang masigurong bawat bata ay bumabasa. Halina't matuto gamit ang ating radyo, pakinggan at unawain, aralin na ituturo. Patuloy ang edukasyon para sa ating henerasyon. Sa daan ng pagkatuto ay walang maiiwan. Kaya halina sa Radyo Eskwela. Tayong ng lahat makinig. Halina't matuto gamit ang ating radyo, pakinggan at unawain, aralin na ituturo. Patuloy ang edukasyon para sa ating henerasyon. Sa daan ng pagkatuto ay walang maiiwan. Kaya halina sa Radyo Eskwela. Tayo na, tayo na, tayo na sa Radyo Eskwela. Tayo na, tayo na, tayo na sa Radyo Eskwela. Tayo na!
There you go. We'll now find out who got all the answers correctly. I want you to check your answers with honesty and integrity. So are you ready now? If yes, may I hear a clap? So what are the answers for number 1? What should be the answer on the first column, on the second column, and on the third column? Awesome! The product of the means is 210, same as the product of the extremes. Therefore, on the last column, it should be a check mark. Now, we proceed to number 2. 8:9 equals 2:3. What are your answers? Correct. The answers are 18, 24, and X mark, respectively. How about number 3? 35 is to 40 equals 7 is to 8. What are the answers? Yes, that's right. The product of the means and the extremes are both 280. So it's a check mark. Number 4. 6 is to 9 equals 3 is to 5. What are the answers? Brilliant! The answer are 27, 30, and an X mark, respectively. Now, we go for number 5. 5 is to 12 equals 6 is to 10. What are the correct answers? You are really doing great! It's 72, 50, and of course an X mark. Now we're on number 6. 2 is to 4 equals 1 is to 2. This is very easy. I hope that all of you will get this answer. So, what's the answer? Definitely. Both the mean and the extremes are 4. So, on the third column, a check mark. Number 7. 19 is to 20 equals 3 is to 6. What is the product of the means, the product of the extreme, and the description? Very good. The product of the means is 60, while the extremes is 114, and obviously, it is an X mark. Now we go to number 8. 18 is to 3 equals 14 is to 12. What are your answers? Absolutely. It's 42, 216, and of course, an X mark. Now we are almost done. How about number 9? 12 is to 6 equals 4 is to 2. What are the answers? Amazing. The means product is 24 as the extremes, so it bears a check mark. And for the last number, number 10, 30 is to 3 equals 20 is to 2. What are the answers? Very good, learners. You did great today. 3 times 20 is 60, and 30 times 2 is also 60. Therefore, it is a proportion. I hope that everybody enjoyed solving. Now, for those who got 10, you tap your shoulder and say, "Good job, self." Congratulations to all of you for participating. You deserve a round of applause. Thank you, my dear learners, for listening attentively. I hope you will do the same on our next meeting. I want to tell everyone that no matter how hard our situation is, I believe that God is still in control. May I end through this quote? Hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness. Keep safe and God bless everyone. Please tune in always to Radyo Eskwela because through this, I'm pretty sure that the load of self-learning will become lighter and in God's perfect time, everything will get back into normal. Goodbye and Godspeed.